Okay, so React Duty. I actually fucking like needed to fucking do the fucking React thing for such a while. I lost my last footage because of a fucking button. So I will check out the fucking like um I will check out the my stream. Let me just check out like right away if my microphone did die or not. First off, okay, it didn't. It's still like not good. I need to fucking calibrate it. Okay, now let's go for like the fucking like video themselves. So let's do this like this. Browser. Okay, browser, where is it? New tab. And where is it? New tab. Here you go. So first, I wanted to react to an actual 2010 like type of like documentary about World of Warcraft. So this was like made by basically like people not understanding World of Warcraft, while people like me were enjoying World of Warcraft, not in understanding it as well, but for like different reasons. So this is actually like an interesting retrospective about like how like people fucking saw us as fucking degenerates playing this game just because what because it's time consuming basically, like it's time consuming and it's new, and but at the same time like some like deviant like out of the norm behavior started to like exist, right? But at the same time it's like really like this hey, dude, like what the fuck you think we are, like we're just playing a video game type of retrospective. So let's check it out. Yeah. I think it is.
How many hours a week I play World of Warcraft depends on my schedule. Like if if I'm really busy, then I'll play. I don't know. I'll still fit it in as much as I can.
I was playing with the same fucking configuration, like same fucking like whole like computer, like the can you believe that like now we have like fucking LED keyboards, LED fucking LED mouses, fucking HD fucking like screens and stuff. And but like I remember starting on this fucking game like on the same fucking like it was the same fucking computer. It looks like well, a fun time, and it was the best fucking time of my life. I swear to you.
And at the highest, maybe I don't know, 48 hours a week.
I would probably estimate I play about probably like an hour and a half a day. So, like,
So hour and a half a day, 84 hours a week. Let me just like check my stream like stream manager, like so how much analytics overview, streamed hours, time streamed for a month, time streamed 1 week streamed. So I streamed like 1 week in a month, to give you an example, in April. Like stream one fucking week. So basically out of 4 weeks I streamed one. Like, and I was mostly playing World of Warcraft. So yeah.
you know, What is that? 10?
Well, if Adam goes home for the weekend, then I'll probably play, not 40 hours, probably maybe 20 in a week.
Usually on a week where I don't have much homework or anything, or any midterms, it's probably like 4 to 6 hours a day. I
Bro, you know this dude was like fucking hyped as fuck because he plays on a laptop, bro. Like back in the day, I don't know which expansion. Maybe we'll see what's expansion. Normally it was vanilla. It was vanilla because of the loading screen earlier. Let me, so 1 minute 20. Yeah. So it was vanilla. Right? So he was playing it on a laptop on vanilla, bro. Vanilla, bro. You have a laptop during vanilla times? During vanilla times? Bro, you're kinda fucking rich, you know?
I'm a really big addict on the game. I think I don't spend all my time, like during midterms, I didn't play very much, maybe an hour a day at the most. But yeah, weekends it's also a big consumption.
And he's online right now.
On average, I play about maybe 2 hours on a weekday, but weekends I'll sometimes play a lot more.
Maybe I'm wrong about like the laptop thing, but like I'm pretty sure that like when I started like playing WoW during the vanilla era, like bro, like no way I could afford a fucking laptop, bro.
So what is that? Like 10, maybe
That actually fucking handles WoW.
12 to 16 hours a week, I guess.
Yeah, so probably 10 hours over the weekend plus another 20, so probably 30.
I've met people online, and I guess that's pretty cool. And we talk in our guild and everything. But I mean, I don't think my social life has really dried up in real life either, because I didn't really have much of one to begin with.
Yeah, and this is like the actual truth about like fucking WoW. And bro, loners, where do we go? Like, bro, you didn't like I wasn't a loner during like this like when I was young, right? But I didn't have like much friends neither. I wasn't like participating in clubs or stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, you come home and what the fuck do you do? Well, and my weekends, bro, like if you don't have like a family life during like high school and stuff, bro, like my family life, I didn't had any I didn't have like the fucking family dinner that like my fucking ex-girlfriends they had every single fucking week, where it's like, way, yeah, we're going to see the family and stuff. So like I didn't have like much of that, and a lot of people didn't have much of that. So it's really funny, like you can feel how like the questions like they're biased against, like it's like, look at these fucking weirdos that fucking like found something on the internet. And but at the same time, like what can you do, bro? Like this dude, like mm, on top of that, like they are like not like bad looking. Well, they found that actually a chick that fucking plays the game, like which is like unbelievable at this time as well. But basically they uh how can I say it, fuck, like people like during like the vanilla era, everyone like, bro, like people, it wasn't fucking TikTok time when the TikTok era where like you see supermodels and people know how to fucking dress up. Like there was like a couple fucking, like I was like a scene kid, so a goth kid, so I knew that like I had some style, but like no one had style like back in the day. So yeah, let me just check one thing, like people they dress up normally, but like you can feel the fucking vibe of, look at these fucking weirdos, you know, like look at these fucking weirdos that discovered something. Let's fucking like watch what the fuck is they're all about. Like they did it like before for like other video games technically. So let me just uh okay, so my recording is actually fine. Yeah.
I mean, me and my girlfriend are still pretty good, so I guess nothing's going down or anything.
It's been about the same. I don't know. Every once in a while, I'll blow my friends off to play World of Warcraft, but a majority of my friends play, so we usually play together. So I'm not really losing any ties with anyone.
Well, you know, it's actually improved because you know I always have my friends come over and in the
Yeah, like basically, like the question is, did your life, your did your life improve? Is this like is it? I don't care. Your life, did it improve since you start playing the game? And you like basically like, these questions, you can't hear them, bro. Like
laptops. We have little LANs.
you can't hear them, friend.
Fine. It's normal.
The same. About I don't know. It's not that bad because it's like I know everybody that I'm playing with usually, and so it's just like chilling out with friends from back home that I never see.
No, I have not made any online friends, unfortunately.
Yeah, can you believe that? Like, and now we're all on Twitch, fucking like that, talking to each other like no fucking tomorrow. And like some people are actually simping over like some random girl. Time changed, huh? Like time really fucking changed.
You can team with people, and so when I team with people, you know, if you get to know them and you see them around the game world and you play again, and you eventually kind of learn to just talk to new people.
I get to talk to people that I wouldn't otherwise. Like I've met some okay people playing World of Warcraft, and there's friends from back home that I rarely see that play on there too. And I still find time to do stuff in real life, so it hasn't really been affected.
The 15-month charge right now probably wouldn't be worth it because
Bro, 15 bucks per month. Can you believe that like you pay once, but like technically like this is the same like math that like you use. Let's say you buy at this during this period Call of Duty, right? You pay, but like you're a real gamer that actually fucking like needs to fucking like you cannot fucking just like do the same level over and over and over again. So if you finish a game, you go play another one, and you want like updates. And back then, like there was like expansions, like expansion packs, right? For like it was like I don't know like how it was called. Like there was like a term, but like the Warcraft expansions and like the fucking like basically like you can like add some gameplay, right? But like basically like it's 60 bucks, and like the Call of Duty for like gamers like this, gamers like me, you finish it in less than a month, and then you have to fucking pay $60 again next month because you're done with the game. And like it wasn't like fucking like these days like where like you get like your Valorant or Overwatch, where it's like you can play technically infinitely and do progress like. And back in the day, except in WoW or like some games like Counter-Strike, like there was like Counter-Strike around, so yeah, an Unreal Tournament, right? Well, like there wasn't like this idea of like being a good gamer. Like you play Call of Duty, you play like you play uh like there was like Halo as well, right? But like you play like some of your like favorite games, but like, there wasn't like this fucking like min-max, and people were not like fucking like speed running games, right, back in the day. So 15 bucks a month, it's so worth it compared to like life these days. Like I think that like even when it comes to like free to play games, like the battle passes, it's pretty much 15 bucks, 20 bucks a month, and it's worth it because like you get to play the actual game, like Genshin Impact. Like is always the example that like I'll use. Never played the game, but like I see the economics. Like I played like another one, Tower Fantasy gacha game, when it comes to gacha games, and this is actually like you pay 20 bucks a month, and you get your 60 70 $80 game for life technically, until like the service like is done, right? So basically you actually like well, it's really fucking worth it, right? So and no matter what game it is, it can be Valorant, it can be Genshin Impact, Tower of Fantasy, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, like compared to $17, there's like a couple games really worth it, like let's say Elden Ring, right? Or God of War, Elden Ring, or stuff like that. But like, bro, like if you like to play like if you play like a little every week or every day, right? This is so worth it. So let's see what they say about like the $15 a month.
Our server that we play on Crown be worth it. The 15-month charge right now probably wouldn't be worth it because our server that we play on crashes all the time, and it's clear that Blizzard hasn't fixed all the bugs in it. So right now I wouldn't have paid $15, but
Okay, this is true, like the quality of service, but like still, like these people, they don't, when they talk about it, they still have like this high-hand consumer mentality, right? Where like, bro, like back in the day, it was revolutionary. Like the server crashes, who fucking cares? I don't remember like, I remember that like it happened, but like it didn't happen that often, you know?
probably in a few months or in a few weeks it's gonna get a lot better. So then it'd be worth it now. But right now I wouldn't say this.
Yeah, at first when I started playing,
And can you believe that like this dude was playing the game, and like this dude, like these people, they didn't knew that like in like 20 years later, 20 years later, these games will still be online. Because like back in the day, there was like like we talk about wall killers, because WoW is in a different category compared to a lot of like fucking other games. Like, did you heard about like any the term WoW, like any game compared to like any game other than what called the game that will be killed someday, like the WoW killer. There's like the Genshin killer, right? Well, that WoW killer is the term, right? Can you believe that like these people 20 years later, the game is still on?
I couldn't justify the $15 monthly fee, but then I thought about
That's some paid actor. Like, look at his acting.
first when I started playing, I couldn't justify the
Oh no,
$15
like,
monthly fee,
cannot
but then
log
I thought
in.
about like a movie's $6.50 or something like that, and the number of hours of entertainment I get out of World of Warcraft more than makes the $15 fee worth it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like if you actually, makes a fucking great point. If you compare it to fucking like going to the cinema, or well, like going outside, like this is not even like comparable. Like you going to the even like going to fucking to the fast food is like with your friends, not worth it. It's like you get to fucking like not go to the restaurant once, or like to the cinema once less, one time less per month, and you get like to play all much however you want, and you free updates and everything.
When you compare to like other things you would have to do, it's not that much for a month. Like, as long as you're playing it, otherwise then I guess like it wouldn't be worth it. Like me not having my own account wouldn't be worth to pay Adam, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's worth the extra money. They've got Blizzard pays people to go around in game, and they're constantly updating and stuff like that. So it's definitely worth.
Like, check this out. This is like peak classic WoW. Like the dude randomly shows you a little bit of his gameplay. The guild keep like these messages, they don't stay up like for a long time, but the fucking like the guild is just like chatting, like just chilling. Like this is like peak classic WoW, origin like vanilla WoW.
Around in game, and they're constantly updating and stuff like that. So it's definitely worth it because they're constantly adding new material.
Well, the way I think about it is that breaks down to 50 cents a day. I mean, that's like 1/3 the cost.
The dude made the math. Like this dude is actually the dude made the math. 50 cents a
People
day.
play for their Starbucks coffee every morning or whatever. And it's entertainment. So it's worth it to me.
Technically, it's only $14 a month for me because I paid for 2 months. And I mean, I guess it is. I worked my first term, and lost a couple hours, or lost probably an hour a day of playing. So, I mean, I guess it kind of makes me feel better that I worked the first term, but so I guess it's kind of worth it. I mean, I don't mind when I end up getting tired of playing it. I'll probably be regretting that I paid $14 a month or however much I paid.
No, it doesn't really interfere with my homework at all, really. I have time where I play, then I have homework time. What are you laughing about? It's true.
No, because I can't play it on my own computer.
People usually who fucking play this game were fucking like nerds to begin with. So, like, when it comes to academics, like, actually, like, these people were like the people that could actually eventually like think about finishing their academics because like they were nerds. Like, this is like kind of like the nowadays, like everyone plays video games, but like back in the day, only the nerds were playing that, bro. Like only the nerds knew even about like fucking WoW.
Computer, so then I'd have to be like in here. So not that I'm not. Okay, I am in here a lot, but I think it'll be okay because it's not like I have a lot of homework for my classes. I just have to study before I have tests and go to class and stuff.
I think they have from World of Warcraft just because I'll blow off class or I'll be like, well, I can rush through this project to play more, but I'll do that for other things too, like hanging out with friends or watching a movie or something.
Not really. My grades have stayed pretty much the same. I usually cut out social time before I cut out grade time when I'm prioritizing WoW over stuff I should be doing.
Last term, before I was even beta testing, in chemistry I got a 55 on my first midterm. And I mean, with World of Warcraft, I just got an 80. So I mean, but I just got to realize that when that midterm came around, I didn't play at all. I was just studying.
There's also like the fact that like when it comes to studying, bro, like if the game makes you happy, you're like more motivated to actually study and to actually like do your chores and like actually be social. So it's kind of like the inverse type of like thing that people tend to forget that like if a game makes you happy or like if like a hobby makes you happy, your social life and academic life and work life actually like goes for better because like well you're happy when you fucking do your chores or like fulfill your duties and just like do your job, you know.
I mean, I use it now as just if I have spare time and don't have homework, then I'll play. Or if I come back from like a crappy day of class, I'll just sit back and relax and play.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
when I came back from that midterm, I played for 5 hours straight because I was just so fried from reading my books and notes and stuff. It kind of helps you just. I was joking with a friend. It rejuvenates the mind to just sit there and do mindless video games
Yeah.
after you've been studying.
I don't think my grades have really suffered. I've kind of been distracted on some homework. I'm gonna admit that on at least one homework assignment that was pretty big. But other than that, I think I just have to get in control of myself, and I think I've gotten better at it so far.
What do I think about World of Warcraft? I think it's an interesting game. I might play it if it was free, but I think that it's just like any other massively multiplayer game, and I doubt I would pay money to play it.
For myself, the biggest reason I don't play it is because I would not do anything. I would fail all my classes, and I would not talk to anybody. My fiance might dump me.
I mean, look at you, dude. Like, what a fucking winner. The dude is like in high school or college and already has a fiance. Yeah, don't fucking play WoW if you have a fiance. Like, that's kind of like like the argument of $15 per month is too expensive. This is like a bad argument, I think. But like, if you have a fucking fiance, yeah, fucking go for your girlfriend. Don't play video games. You fucking like this is the right argument.
It would just devour me and spit me out a naked man on the street in an alley.
Like all my games are free, They're all way more fun than World of Warcraft. I'm not going to touch World of Warcraft because I don't want to get reamed in the ass every damn month.
Well, I see them less, so their interaction with real people, the amount of time they do that decreases.
JJ never goes to class, so he pretty much doesn't talk to anybody.
Well, I know Matt is up to almost a month on his playtime. 23 days as of yesterday.
I know that Matt's girlfriend broke up with him or for a couple days because of the game.
I hardly see him anymore. I hardly see Mike either. They're basically confined to their room for as long as they play the game. I mean, until they quit, they're never going to see sunlight.
Adam has quit World of Warcraft due to the monthly fee, okay? Alex is still playing well, but not as much, okay? Mike sold his WoW account and character on eBay for 150 bucks. Bro, the dude was actually a hardcore gamer because like, hey bro, like you don't sell like back in the day 150 bucks for a fucking WoW account. Hey, must have been doing like some good rating and stuff. JJ did not come back spring term due to academic probation. I don't know what academic probation is. Oh, let's check it out. I'm like so curious. Oh, so basically like because he was failing his classes, okay? Bro, like this is an actual documentary. Like, but like there were like people not understanding, but like kind of they were like still nice to these people. Like they were like not the fucking haters that I actually thought they were. Like you can see that because like the chick, they didn't got the answers. They just fucking put a fucking fucking like question mark for a fucking question mark for like the fucking thing for it's like, and the girl, we don't know. like they could have, like no one will have noticed if they will have skipped it, you know? Like this is like Matt has played a total of 47 days within WoW. I should check out. I am like a couple of days already, yeah. I'm so curious, friends. Oh yeah, so so it's an actual like, let me just check like what the fuck is this dude? 19 years ago, dude. Like Capricorn Zodiac, Dreams procedural. So basically like he did like a project, maybe it was like made this video 4 months after WoW was released because I saw how some friends were affected by it. Of course it's a bit biased, it's a documentary. It's actually like a friend of them that actually fucking like did that. Like this is actually like, okay, so I went from like really biased to I was the one actually really biased, you know? Like I think that like this is actually really cool. Like because like basically like the dude actually like Linktree like what I guess he updated it, but like yeah, thank you Stefan for like actually like 4 months later, like this was actually a fan documentary. Like it wasn't like a documentary from like some like but they said thanks to IGN and stuff like that. Like I don't get it, but like it was kind of hard. It was like a chill documentary. Like it really describes kind of like the questions that like we got asked, and kind of like the way that like we actually like got fucking like the way that we got stigmatized just because like we're like, wow. Okay, so this was like World of Warcraft documentary. All right, let's go to the next one. Uh, let's check out so after that, obviously, let's check out classic WoW facts that you probably didn't know. I'll check out. Let's do the test of if I actually knew that. Like I'm actually curious to see that.
World of Warcraft has always been a game full of secrets and hidden mysteries, especially in the earlier days of vanilla. So I thought, you know what, let's take a look at some of the lesser known facts and secrets from the earliest days of WoW that you might not have known. Some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about will be more known than others, and for the sake of ease, Vanilla and the 2019 Classic re-release will be banded together, meaning that some of the video could still apply to the Classic game we know today, and other parts will be in relation to the Vanilla period. So
let me just check one thing real quick.
strap in and grab
Okay.
yourself a snack, as we're about to scratch the surface of the lesser known side of Classic WoW. Let's start it off with one that still applies to the Classic version today. If I was to ask you what the longest corpse run in the game through normal means would be, you'd probably thinking along the
Okay, this I will never know, so I'm kind of
lines of at the bottom of Tanarus, in the Dark Whisper Gorge of Winterspring, or dying in the Stormwind Tram area towards Ironforge as a Horde player, for example. But the longest corpse run in the game through normal means is actually if you fall off the cliff at Bloodvenom Post in Felwood. You would appear at the closest graveyard in Darkshore, and although that graveyard is pretty close to your corpse, the only way to reach your corpse would be to run across Ashenvale and back up through Felwood, which will roughly take you about 20 minutes.
20 minutes of like walking as a ghost, like, so basically like it was basically glitched, like it was not intended to, it was kind of like basically an abuse that you can do to just like waste time. But you can see how fanatic people are about WoW when they discover that like you can just like waste yourself like 20 minutes by jumping from a fucking cliff.
But now let's look at something a little faster. The fastest Ragnaros kill in Vanilla before the Burning Crusade was by a guild called the Silver Horde, who took 1 warrior, 1 paladin, 1 priest, 1 druid, 3 warlocks and 33 mages into Molten Core and managed.
Yeah, back in the day, like class equality didn't existed. It was like mages were the best. Now with actually like the numbers and basically like the meta scientists, like the people, the hardcore people that actually like, we got mathematicians that actually like tell us which class in classic is best. Like it's actually warrior if I remember correctly. At least that's what I saw. But like, yeah, okay, so how long?
To defeat Ragnaros in as little as 1 minute and 16 seconds,
Oh, yeah.
which is honestly quite impressive for its time. At this
Yeah, like a normal run will be like 10 to 15 minutes, something like that.
rate, you could down Ragnaros 15 times before doing the entire Bloodvenom Falls death run and still have an entire minute to spare. Now, while we're on the topic of Molten Core, during the earlier patches of Vanilla, due to a bug, Tier 1 and Tier 2 both used to drop from various bosses inside Molten Core. It was swiftly hotfixed, and a majority of Tier 2 was taken away from the loot tables of Molten Core, and this is largely why you could always obtain Tier 2 legs from Ragnaros, because although they had realised the bug was causing both tier sets to drop even before Blackwing Lair was released, Blizzard at this time had a fascination with Tier 2 dropping from bosses that were either more difficult or more epic to kill. Ragnaros for the Tier 2 legs, Onyxia for the Tier 2 helm, and the rest of the Tier 2 set that was reintroduced back into the game during the Blackwing Lair patch.
Yeah, and this was cool actually, when it comes to game design, because like you get like something, you get really rewarded to come back to the raids, and you get like kind of like this kind of glimpse of the next raid that you're going to, because you get items basically like from this raid. So it kind of like hooks you in, like it makes you motivates you to to keep on going, you know, because after that, like, you start a new raid and you already like have a piece from the raid because you finished the one before, you know.
Did you know if you kill and skin a sheep, you sometimes can actually get wool cloth? Now, if I was to ask you what the rarest mount ever within World of Warcraft was, what would you say it is? If you said the...
Okay, if it's like the fucking like same argument of like the one-offs, like if it's like the once in a lifetime mounts that they'll talk about, it's not really interesting. But like the rarest mounts, actually, when it comes to like drops that actually anyone could have, and not like because of his glitch or like a story, like I'm actually curious.
The fluorescent green Mechanistrider, you'd actually be right. Only one person in the history of the game has officially had this mount, and that player was a player called Nosh from the EU realm of Frostmane. The mount was unavailable to obtain within the game, however Nosh supposedly had issues with his original Mechanistrider and had deleted it, which when being helped out from a game master at the time to recover and fix his mount, was mistakenly given the fluorescent green Mechanistrider. Nosh however kept playing World of Warcraft throughout many expansions before sadly trying to sell his account during Warlords of Draenor. Knowing that he had a one-of-a-kind mount, had tried listing it on a well-known cheating site, and the bidding for his account was rumoured to have exceeded the price of $15,000. But of course, with having such a unique item and being extremely well known, Blizzard got wind of this.
Who the fuck even has $150,000 to begin with? Like, and who the fuck will do that to for a game, especially back in the day? Like, I never understood this. And I'm just like, you could buy like yourself, like basically like when it comes to boosting services, you could buy like yourself for like $2,000 like the premium premium WoW account that you would want, right? Like through boosting or like through account buying. So I don't know.
And rightfully stripped the mount from his account, which now means that the fluorescent green Mechanistrider is an extinct mount. Now, I do quickly want to touch on the point that it's relatively unknown exactly when Nosh had received the mount, whether it was actually in vanilla or in the early stages of the Burning Crusade, but I still wanted to include this in the video because it's such a unique story. The fluorescent green Mechanistrider did make a comeback however during Phase 2 of Season of Discovery, as it had a small drop chance from the last boss in Gnomeregan. Taurens are so fat... from the last boss in Gnomeregan. However, during Phase 2 of Season of Discovery, as it had a small drop chance from the last boss in Gnomeregan.
So this is
Taurens
actually interesting.
are so fat, big boned, that they are the only race unable to fit through this window next to the high elf that grants the entrance to Molten Core. While we're talking about Tauren, did you know that Tauren is an anagram for nature?
Oh yeah, I have seen this I fucking like heard this fact like 10 years ago. Yeah, nature, Tauren, that's actually yeah.
Now let's talk about really a certain ability in the game.
That's really poetic and beautiful, I think. Like
the mage spell called Blink. This appears to have a pretty simple icon of a face with a glistening eye. This may just be me, but I for the longest time had no clue this was actually an icon of a dwarf. Most probably because icons are so...
Oh yeah. Yeah, the icon thing, like there's a lot of like icons in WoW that like you just like never, like for me, like there was like, it was the same with Dota. Like where like some icons, it took me like 5 years to fucking understand what the fuck is the icon about. So like I didn't even notice that like it was like a fucking fake. I guess like I didn't notice, but like there's a lot of icons where it's like I wasn't sure, like on stream I was like, what the fuck is this? Like,
so small, sometimes they are kind of hard to tell what's going on. To this day, I'd probably still get half of them wrong. But you might be thinking, hang on, why has a mage spell got a dwarf as an icon? Well, if we crank back time all the way to the WoW beta,
oh yeah, because dwarfs cannot be fucking mages. Oh, that's an interesting, like, that's actually an interesting, like, notice. Yeah, back in the day, they couldn't. They cannot, they still cannot, I think.
dwarf mages were initially going to be a thing. Even the original WoW game manual stated that dwarf mage was a playable race and class combo. So what happened? Why didn't it end up being released as a playable combo? Rumour had it that Blizzard thought it would skew the balance in favour of the Alliance for having too many different race and class combos, so they removed the ability for dwarf mages to be a thing. Yeah, believe it or not, they actually did try to balance some parts of vanilla. Now while we're
Yeah, it's just like they just didn't knew like how fucking like successful it will be. So balance like when it launched, like Warcraft was successful, so balancing was already a thing. But at the same time, uh, still like it was like a new genre of like video games that like balancing, let's say for like Lineage 2, right, or Guild Wars, it existed, but like not to this fucking scale, right?
around this time period of vanilla, you're probably well aware of people dying within duels to various damage over time effects, spell reflex, and just warlocks in general. But did you know that very early on, if you were to duel another player, there would be no countdown timer and the duel would start instantly? This quite obviously gave the massively unfair advantage to the person that was accepting the duel, and it wasn't until patch 1.2 in vanilla where the 3-second countdown rule was introduced into the game.
I killed 2 dwarfs in the morning, I killed 2 dwarfs at night, I killed 2 dwarfs in the afternoon, and then I feel alright. I killed 2 dwarfs in time of peace and 2 in time of war. I killed 2 dwarfs before I killed 2 dwarfs, and then I killed 2 more.
That
Damn.
was a troll joke that was removed in the later parts of vanilla going into early TBC, and it was a reference to a song called Smoke 2 Joints. Now, it's pretty unclear on a
That's actually grim and dark as fuck, and it was like because of like two joints. So basically, it's like the reference, like you replace like dwarf by joints. I kill 2 joints in the morning. I kill 2 joints.
a solid reason why it
Or I
was
smoke 2
removed.
joints.
Some say it was because it was drug related and offended people even way back then for some reason. This joke,
wouldn't
however,
even
did
know.
not feature in the classic WoW 2019 re-release despite there supposedly being no changes, though this could be because the server ran on the end patch and it could well have been taken out just before the end patch of vanilla. If you're a fan of Warcraft 3 and saw the Arthur's Betrayal cinematic, you can lower the music volume in game and max out the ambience volume to hear the sounds of the cinematic at the entrance of Undercity. You will hear the bells as you enter, followed by the cheers from the crowd, with rose petals scattered all around, blood within the throne room from the crown falling to the floor, and also the speech from the cinematic between Arthas and his father, the king. Let's give it a little listen.
Oh, meaning that like if you actually fucking like lower like every sound, you can hear the Warcraft cinematic. This is actually really cool. This is actually really fucking sick.
Another Easter egg that was put into WoW during vanilla was the Children of Goldshire, who spawn at around 7 AM server time before running all the way up to Stormwind and back down to the house just above Goldshire. If you go inside the house around this time, you will find the children standing in a pentagram format with eerie music, banshee cries, ghoul noises, and the voice of Cthulhu saying,
You will die.
Now, you probably already
Yeah, and back in the day, like that's the thing. Like now we're used to like mega horror and like fucking like really dark things, but like this is like you play the game. It's not that dark technically, and then you get into these moments, and it's really fucking like it takes you off guard. That's I'd say.
already know what female trolls
It's the same. Like there's like some things about Karazhan that like are really fucking grim as
used to
well.
look like in the alpha version of the game. But here's a reminder. Yep, that is absolutely terrifying. This is probably more scary than those children of Goldshire. A completely useless fact to know is that all Night Elf guards inside Darnassus are female. You will find many male NPCs, but none of those will be guards. This also applies to a few other Night Elf settlements around the world, including Astronaut in Ashenvale. Another quick fact to know, but this time could be considered useful, is that there are no engineering trainers in Thunderbluff or any other town inside Mulgore. But there is an engineering trainer by the name of Twiswick Sprocketgrind, who hides inside a mine at a distant spot in the northeast of Mulgore, which unsurprisingly not many people know about. The very
Yeah, how the fuck would you know back in the day?
first zones that were designed and created was Elwyn Forest and Westfall, which were created way back
And then why would you even need to know after that?
in the creation of the base game in 2001. The contrast to this and one of the last zones ever created in vanilla was Silithus. If we
Oh, this is interesting. So so this is like
contrast
right,
to
right.
which were created way back
So Elwyn Forest and Westfall were like first zones created, and Silithus was last. So this is interesting. You get to see like the comparison, like how it like became like how during development, game development, the actual artists and like the like all the Blizzard team actually improved within their like own artistry, within like their own like art of like making video games. So this is actually really cool.
in the creation of the base game in 2001. The contrast to this and one of the last zones ever created in vanilla was Silithus. If we take a look at the original WoW cinematic and have a look at the map, you will see many differences in zones, including Silithus, which is missing because it's yet to be created, and when the WoW cinematic was made, it was based on an alpha version of WoW where Silithus was not yet in. When Silithus was created and the game was released, however, the zone was a shell. It had no content and no mobs. All of the content, the mobs, and the quests were added in later patches of vanilla. Now, there is an absolute ton of secrets, facts, and mysteries from vanilla or classic WoW, and this is only just scratching the surface. If you want to see a follow-up video with even more, I could turn it into a mini-series. Just let me know below if this is interesting and it's something you want to see more of. Also, I'll probably do a mini-series of the many things within vanilla that was never officially released, that got scrapped from the game's alpha, meaning it never saw the light of day. But let me know.
Okay, so this is actually like really interesting. There's like a second one. I will add it to my like subscribe to these. Thank you these for like the fucking video. This was actually like cool facts. I actually knew most of them. So about like I only knew the Torn fact. That's it. But this is it, yeah. Like this actually like here you go. Okay, so yeah, this was classic WoW facts. You didn't know actually I didn't know most of them. This was cool. I am paranoid. Like I lost my footage. Like the last fucking React footage. I lost 4 hours. So okay. I didn't lost this footage this way. Like last time I lost 4 hour footage, which like really fucking sucks when you fucking like dig in to fucking like do all this. So what was like okay, there is like an AI video that I wanted to react to. Like AI is just like it's kind of like my little fun. You get like free free lore videos. Like it's basically like read the lore videos. I read all the lore from WoW. So yeah, let's check this out. This talks about Darkshore.
Darkshore is a narrow stretch of coastline, clinging on the edge of resilience over vast ruin. The sky is permanently gray, the air thick with the scent of salt, sand, and ash.
So I'm curious to know just if it is after or before the fall of Teldrassil.
Gnarled elder trees stretch along the seaboard, trunks singed by weather and war. Endless swells batter against the crags, the water stained indigo. A ceaseless haze blankets the shoreline, swallowing the land in ever-present fog. Once Darkshore was a place of quiet beauty. Now it is a graveyard.
Yeah, like this is actually like why I like these videos. Like this could be like a model for like a treant in actual fucking Warcraft or WoW. Like this is like fucking legit stuff.
The ruins of Oberdeen sit in silence, its docks broken, its buildings abandoned. The charred forests lay where the war has left them, and in their ashes, restless spirits linger. Remains of high-born cities snake along the coast, ancient stone,
Naga looks scary.
half-buried in blackened sand, eroded by time and tide. For ages they were alone in unnatural stillness, until joined by fresher wreckage. The Kalderae remain, though fewer than before.
Damn, like Night Elves look sick and like because like this is like movie fucking quality. Like Night Elves look sick in real life.
They fight not for victory, but for vengeance. With banners torn and armor battered, their numbers dwindle. Elune's light still touches Darkshore, but it is distant, flickering promiscuously through the gloom. The war has already taken so much, and it will take so much more.
Okay, nothing too much. Like basically, like it's just like a presentation. Like this could be like a trailer for like if Darkshore would be like a new zone, this could be like a trailer for it. I really like the thank you, your boy Tyler. Like I love these things. Like it actually like really adds up to like it's free lore and basically it's like the quest and like the lore and that like I don't have to read. So yeah, uh, Lord Darkshore actually like interesting. Like there's more of like Darkshore. I'll check this out. Okay, I'll actually like let me check this out. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's get into like some like non-WoW related like stuff because like enough WoW. Like there's a lot of WoW. Like I've been playing like how long have I been streaming? It's like 2 a.m. I've been streaming for 6 hours today. Oh God, like time passes fast now. Okay, let's get into some weep stuff to kind of like get out of like this like wow bubble that I'm in. Let's react to some free run world building. I'm curious about this. Like I loved free run.
Sometimes-
Free run is a TV show that you should fucking watch, and yeah, like you should definitely like you should fucking like definitely like watch free reign. In general, like don't even think too much about it. Like it is this good, it is this fucking awesome. So let's check it out. So the secret to free reign world building. So for me, it's actually so I'll tell you this. Like for me, free reign I think is a game changer just because for once you get a fucking story that is not about like saving the world, but with saving the world or like some like fucking unrealistic and fucking like just stupid high stakes, right? Stupid like motivations like that is dangerous, saving the world, saving like something like a destiny fucking like, but at the same time it's made with like interesting characters, like the same, you get the same characters that like usually save the world. Technically there is like something like interesting about it, but it's not about fucking saving the world or like fucking like in any moment everything can fucking fall down. I think that like when it comes to world building, this is what like actually got me into free rent as well. But there's like so many things, but yeah.
Art is big. Sometimes art is big. Sometimes it's grandiose. It can reach soaring heights with climactic finales.
And also, free rent, like said, like and showed, is grandiose without like this fucking like as well like high stake like fucking like it doesn't need to fucking like have like basically life or death situation like every like kind of like last episode finale type of like moment to be grandiose. And this is actually something like, from free rent that I really love. It's like it doesn't fucking like take like the last episode of the last season to fucking be grandiose. It actually it gets grandiose like right when you like as you fucking watch, you know.
But sometimes doesn't mean always. There are many outstanding examples of subtlety in Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Some probably stuck with you, but true to a video about subtlety, I'm going to choose one that I think doesn't come to mind first. One from an episode I've already talked about. My name is Pei, and today we're going to be talking about these little guys. While at first glance these just seem to be squirrels, don't be tricked. This is a fantasy story, and nothing's more fantasy than taking animals from our world and giving them different names. These guys are seed rats, and what makes them special isn't just that they're important to the story, but more specifically that they are, yet somehow they blend in with all the other countless pieces of information that are exposed to us in Frieren that are never extrapolated on. We're going to be talking about a lot of things today, so I'm breaking them up into three major parts.
Okay, this is also interesting that like, yeah, so in free rent there's also like a lot of like things that are like special, but like they don't fucking focus on like one fucking special thing during all the show that makes the world building and the world of the anime itself like special. And this is like really interesting.
First is
This is a good
storytelling
point.
structure. Chekhov's gun argues that anything introduced to a story should be pertinent to the story itself. But in the process of only ever highlighting information that is pertinent to the story, you create an incredibly predictable system. And something that can consistently add a realistic feeling to any story when done properly is the introduction of information that doesn't directly serve the plot, but still feels true to the world around it. And then on top of that, sprinkling in important information for the plot amongst that large barrage of real world building. I think a great example where an artist has been incredibly successful with this type of subtle storytelling is Hayao Miyazaki. Think about how many times people have talked about the train scene from Spirited Away, and how that scene in particular doesn't do much to serve the plot, and in many other films would have been reduced to a short montage. However, that's not to say that anyone...
It is called like atmospheric storytelling, like scenery storytelling, environment storytelling. And this is also like really important, and he's right, like in free rent there's like this atmospheric storytelling. So basically just like well, the reason why fucking Lord of the Ring is actually so fucking like huge because like they don't fucking always fight. They also show you like a scenery, so an environment where like the character progresses the same way as like the train like scene. But in Free Ren, it's really similar now that I think of it, like to fucking like Lord of the Rings, where it's like, but it's in a TV show. Is it gonna like use the same like rhythm logics? And this is what like I think like it is really like like makes it like really something special.
One making stories would benefit from this style of creation. I'm not saying it's a good idea to just throw significantly more information at the audience. If done poorly, it's really confusing, and I've seen a lot of people criticize Miyazaki's most recent film, The Boy and the Heron, for this exact reason. There's a fine line between nuance and nonsense, so the main danger of
Yeah, like on this one, like also I agree, because like there's like a big difference between like sparkling like your world with like like magical like things, right? Magical facts, magical like stuff, but also like to just like stuffing it with like random stuff that makes it like shiny, basically.
of this type of storytelling is information overload. Writers, producers, and studios often vocalize how important every second in a story is. But when you get lost in storytelling that's too efficient, you lose what world building is, which is to create a setting for the characters to exist in that doesn't feel like it disappears as soon as it goes off frame. Like I said last week, good writing implies stuff that's going on beyond what we can see. And I think that's a major component of what makes these scenes so significant.
And also what we can imagine, like what TV show, like anime, movie, video game, or theater allows you to imagine. Like this is also like is something with Free Ren that really like makes great. What can you imagine when you're watching Free Ren or after watching Free Ren? Same as like in it will like, and it's the same with Lord of the Rings, for example. What can you imagine? A lot of things, like, and this is like
ones that almost feel
one of the many points that like makes Free Ren really special.
throwaway or never given explanation. In reality, there's not meaning to every single thing we're introduced to, and that can help a lot when it comes to making a world feel full. Because my favorite settings, especially in fantasy, aren't just there to serve the plot or characters. They feel like a living, breathing world. And this is where Miyazaki and the creators of Free Ren really thrive, in subtle, beautiful world building. So why doesn't everyone tell stories this way? When you introduce a lot of information and show scenes that may not be directly important for the plot.
Because it's really difficult to fucking make the nuance. And like, I will tell you as well, it's also really fucking difficult. We tend to criticize like this type of art and like storytelling as like it's one dude that made it, right? Like a painting, like a song, right? But like there's like a whole lot. It's based on a manga, but after that, there's also like the whole like team that will animate it, voice it, like promote it, like right. So yeah.
You risk alienating your audience by confusing them. It's very easy to get lost while consuming a story. So a very important part of telling stories, with some exception, is guiding your audience so they know what's going on. That exception, by the way, is sometimes writers do purposely confuse their audiences, but that's a fine line to walk, and it's very easy, if you mess it up, to end up with everyone disengaged. So how does this apply to the second episode of Free Ren Beyond Journey's End? Common sentiment I've seen in the comment section of my most recent video is that Free Ren is an incredibly dense show. Many people who thought they were 8 or 9 episodes in came back to realize they'd only watched a couple. It's something that's consistent across.
This is true, and this is like also why I actually like had to like take the time to watch it, because like I will burn out just watching it, because it's, even though it's like it's not your fucking like hero, like superhero type of journey where it's like first episode like My Hero Academia, where like you start the episode and it's like, and there's like the school and there's like 15 fucking powers and there's like this dude with a destiny. It's like really slow, but at the same time it's really fucking like dense and powerful. I'd say it's powerful, that's why. But in a good way, not in a fucking like watch this and there's like a billion things to watch as well next to it, right?
Across the entire series with one exception, which I think was on purpose, but we'll get to that later. These episodes are so full of information and story that I'm shocked at how much they're able to tell in such a short amount of time. And that's also juxtaposed with the fact that I think this show takes tons of time to tell the story it wants to. I think it's well paced, but I wouldn't be shocked if someone walked away from watching it saying, it's too slow for me. Because my experience watching Frieren was full of contradiction.
Yeah, like you need to actually like, well, about like the superhero type of stories like anime, like you actually need to fucking like just take the time to readapt to another like rhythm of storytelling. And once you do, there's no turning back. At least like there is no like turning back if you like it, to actually like seeing Frieren as like something really like unique and like out there, you know, like it's something like out of the ordinary.
A constantly adapting oxymoron. How can a show feel so densely packed but also very airy and full of space? How can it explore so many different ideas but also feel like it's constantly meandering? Well, I think a major contributing factor to this is the way the story is told subtly. The world feels so big because they include so much information that isn't directly tied to the story. Because Frieren isn't exactly a show about a specific story. More so the adventure and experiences, it's almost episodic, except for the fact that they're densely filled with character development and overarching themes. Because as a baseline to enjoy the episode, you don't have to fully understand the depth behind it. But like most pieces of media that lend themselves to analysis, there's huge amounts of substance behind the initial first viewing. A beautiful example of this is Fern's relationship with nature around her. There's this running theme throughout the series that constantly, when given an opportunity, Fern's gonna have a little moment with some sort of animal or creature. When she's learning magic, she has birds landing on her. She interacts with the giant tortoise in episode 2, and in episode 3, she pets a cat. That one's a little bit more relatable. But theoretically, there's lots you could infer about what this is supposed to represent in the story. Though, in season 1, they never explain.
I actually didn't even notice. And these are like the little things that like actually like when it comes to imagining, well, that actually like makes the world like alive and breathing. Because like Fern, like you don't notice it, but that's why Fern is actually like more like something more like it's just like more interesting than your average character. Like little things like this that like I actually didn't notice, but it's true. Without that, like I wouldn't. But and it just adds up. It just adds up over and over. Like you will have this and another little fact about Fern and another little fact, and basically that's how it
give
works.
an answer. Maybe it represents Fern's natural affinity towards magic. In Frieren, there's a lot of metaphors that overlap magic and nature. Maybe it represents her kindness, the value in which she gives each living creature. It could represent her moving on past the hardships of her childhood, learning magic out in the forest with Hyder's guidance when she was his ward. It could represent many things, but we're not sure what it exactly represents because it's open to interpretation. So in episode 2, when Fern and Frieren are doing the rather mundane task of cleaning a statue, one that happens to be a statue of Himmel the hero, Fern finds two seed rats having snuck into the florist's store. Afraid that there might be some sort of repercussion for them stealing some of the seeds, she sneaks them out. Now this is where things get interesting. If this story closely followed the rules of Chekhov's gun, then those seed rats would definitely be important in some way. And they are, except for the fact that this story so far has introduced tons of little moments like Fern interacting with animals leading up to this. And that's only one example of many different parts of world building that this story participates in that aren't directly connected to the progression of plot.
Yeah, and also like it makes like characters like not look like storytelling tools, where it's like Frieren isn't like the fucking like hero, and Fern the support, and another character is like basically like they're like closed within like their like use of their, so like way more than just like the hero or the bad, the enemy, or, and this is what makes it like interesting.
This isn't even the first introduction to seed rats that we've gotten in this episode. The opening scene of this second story that we get in episode 2 is of pumpkins being harvested, in which we're introduced to the seed rats. But the plot of this second story in episode 2 is ultimately about flowers and what they represent. Those blue moon weeds that we were talking about. Which, by the way, what a fantastic choice in name. A perfect balance between romantic and realistic. What a fantastic present.
What name?
Those blue moon weeds that we were talking about. Which, by the way, what a fantastic choice in name. A perfect balance between romantic and realistic. What a good example of small things that continuously add up to make for outstanding world building. Essentially, this flower was one of Himmel's favorite, and Vyrah has a spell that will allow her the opportunity to create a field of flowers, which, by the way, will be very important later in the story, but we'll get there eventually. So where's the conflict? Well, turns out Vyrah, to use this spell, has to have seen the flower she wants to create. However, she's never seen a blue moon weed, and no one spotted one in the area for a couple decades. Then once again, in a blink of an eye, or rather a beautiful montage, Vyrah and Fern have spent the last 6 months looking for this flower, and Fern has reached a breaking point. Unsure of how to voice her frustrations, Fern approaches the florist, asking for advice, and she urges Fern to communicate it directly to Vyrah, despite her.
And this is also like something in storytelling that like we don't see, is actually like, well, the burning out of the people, because like you see the adventure and everyone's motivated all the time to fucking like keep going and stuff. And like in Vyrah, like you get this like, oh my fucking god, it's been like 2 years we've been walking. Oh my fucking god, she is still fucking struggling to fucking get this thing done. Oh my fucking god, she told me that Vyrah told me that like it will take like 5 to 6 months to even just like reach the next like objective, the next town, right? So, and like this is like also adds like something that like you don't see in other animes. People are just like motivated to travel the world all the time, where like in reality like traveling is really fucking like expensive. It's really fucking tiring on like, it's really like takes a lot of energy. And like this is like also like it depicts like Vyrah depicts like a lot of like the adventure, a lot of sides of adventure that like are realistic but in a fantasy setting, and also like are like missing, that makes like a lot of fantasy adventures really like look dull sometimes, you know?
Her appearance and many of her actions, she's more mature than she lets on. So they sit down and have a conversation, which the presentation and way it plays out is just a remarkably cool scene. Fern expresses how she feels, and Vyrah acknowledges those emotions. This conflict is small in the grand scheme of things, but it's another example of subtle storytelling. It doesn't really do much initially to further the plot of this story. However, it feels like an incredibly realistic form of conflict. A major component of this series is the way Vyrah perceives time. Trying to offer an olive branch, or in this case, a solution, Fern presents Vyrah a bag of rare seeds related to the blue moon weed, a gift from the florist. And while Vyrah acknowledges her feelings, she can only guarantee that they'll move on soon. Fern, much like anyone who's young and spent too long in a place they didn't want to, is concerned. Before suddenly, seed rats steal those same seeds, and Vyrah shares that seed rats famously bury their food to hide it. They also famously forget where they buried their food very often, using a magical spell to follow their footprints. Another example of something they never overtly explain, just show the audience. They track the seed rat back to an abandoned tower. And we're given a flashback to Vyrah's previous adventure, where she took a desolate set of ruins and created a field of flowers, where Himmel shared 2 things with her. First, placing a wreath of flowers on her head, and second, sharing that he loves blue moon weeds, a flower native to his home. Jumping back to the present, we see Vyrah pick up a blue petal at the base of the tower, and then levitating to the top, Fern close behind, Vyrah sees a beautiful collection of blue moon weeds. I think this is the first time in the series we get a big moment, one that feels like a magnificent and huge triumph. Which is funny because it kind of feels like what I was talking about before, it's almost an oxymoron. While there aren't really any stakes, there's still a substantial significance. This scene hits so hard because it's set up by the most beautiful, subtle world building. one where seed rats and flowers are intermingled with giant tortoises and cauldrons. Vyrah doesn't just embrace subtle storytelling, it flourishes in it.
Yeah, and also like it takes the time to fucking like with a different storytelling rhythm, you can tell different stories. And I feel that like a lot of stories these days when it comes to anime have like the same like really like almost annoying like really fast storytelling rhythm where like free run actually takes the time to fucking like take the time, right? And because of that it allows to tell other stories and to make them interesting, because like a story about flowers with the wrong rhythm, let's say like take your fucking Naruto One Piece rhythm, right? Or like what is it called, um solo leveling, right? Well, basically, like the problem is that like you cannot tell these type of stories at all because of the rhythm. You can with like the big three, right? But like when it comes to others, it's not really possible because the rhythm is just like not the same. And but in these TV, like in this type of like storytelling, stories, they still try, and it doesn't fit because like you need to change the rhythm at least for the episode to make it fucking worth. While they a lot of times they struggle to do that, and that's why like it's so like kind of off, and people are like, oh yeah, the fucking like let's say like off season episode like that just adds some lore, people fucking skip it almost, you know.
Oh yeah, and we're only on episode 2. Thank you for watching. This video is the third in a running series about Vyrah. If you enjoyed it, come back next week for another, or go check out my previous 2. If you want to support me or this series, consider going to my Patreon where I have 4 exclusive video essays up now. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, subscribe to fucking Pay Talks Anime. Like this was actually like grandiose as well. He takes the time to talk about like a lot of like the scenery. And so I started by saying actually he used an argument that is like different, but that adds up, like just like make in like allowing yourself through another rhythm, through like to make like what you will not watch or care in a lot of like other animes like matter. And like the basically like it's a story about flowers, right? Like so this was interesting, I really like this one. Okay, I have like one last fucking video and like that I wanted to check out. Let me just check out. I'm so paranoid about like losing my footage. Okay, so I need to I really need to, yeah, like my microphone is kind of like fucked. I really need to fucking like check this one out, but like I guess like my other like React videos didn't like suffer too much, so I guess it's okay. Yeah, there was like a last one that I wanted to check out from. So this is like about music, the rise and fall of fucking System of a Down. You can notice that like I'm the type of person that like really love music. Actually did like music streaming, and yeah. So let's check it out. Like the rise and fall of like System of a Down, because like they rose so high from 2 albums, and then they released like 2 songs that like I really didn't like, and but since then like people were like, when's the next album, as they never fucking released it. So this is interesting, like to kind of see, but they are like side projects, so that were actually like good, some Like Search Talk can like actually has released like albums outside of System of a Down, as well as like the guitarist, I don't remember his name, but like let's check it out.
The System of the Down, man, they are so fucking bad. You guys need to start fucking watching them because they are the best fucking bands in the fucking world right now.
What's up, everybody? I'm Finn McKenty. This is the Punk Rock NBA, and today we're here to talk about System of a Down. They've sold over 10 million albums, they've won a Grammy, they were the first metal band to hit 1 billion on YouTube and Spotify with Chop Suey, and with so much mainstream success, they've introduced millions of fans to the genre, but without ever compromising on their vision. Their music is just wildly eclectic, combining everything from the Beatles to black metal to Armenian folk music, some of the most innovative, interesting stuff to ever hit the mainstream. And maybe even more importantly,
And also like when it comes to cinematic, like I don't know like if he said it, but like also the fucking like vision that they have of music when it comes to like music clips, like because music videos is something that like people tend to forget, but if you think about it, like the greatest artists ever, like the top like 50, like search like go on Google, search your list or like your favorite YouTubers of and see what's his favorite artist, like the what within the artist within the music industry, what is considered like the best artist, and the best artist will always be considered people that also like do great music videos, like if not for classics but like for classical music, but like this is like different like within itself, right? Where it's like the greatest artists ever, like let's say Michael Jackson, System of a Down, Madonna, like stuff like that, great music videos, and System of a Down really made like really like music videos that like makes you fucking like react, you know, like react, have a like feel something.
they've also always had a powerful message, in particular raising a lot of awareness for
That's
the
true.
Armenian genocide and other social issues, to the point where they were banned on the radio after the 9/11 attacks. And somehow, despite not having released an album in almost 20 years, they remain one of the most popular and influential metal bands of their generation. And so the question is,
Yeah, it really never really changed. Like if you ask like someone that like what's a good fucking metal band that like just should check out because never like got into it, like still to this day people will tell you like they told like someone told me fucking like 10-15 years ago, they will still tell you the same fucking System of a Down, check it out.
how do they do it? And what is their lasting legacy and impact? Those are the questions that I will try to answer in this video. And also, I'd like to thank Factor for sponsoring this video. If you're busy with holiday plans but you still want to eat well, and you should, then check out Factor. They make nutritious, chef-prepared meals that are delivered straight to your door, and they're ready to eat in just 2 minutes. That means you can skip the trip to the grocery store and all the chopping and the prep and the cleanup and all that, while still getting the flavor and nutrition that you need. And if you eat out a lot, it's a great way to save money. It's cheaper than takeout, or even worse, delivery, which, if you ask me, is a complete ripoff. And also, they have a ton of options. Personally, I like Calorie Smart, which is under 550 calories per serving. But they also have new lunch-to-go meals that are ready to eat with no microwave required, and their fancy new surf and turf options. Personally, I love that I don't have to think about what to eat for lunch. I just pick something and I know that it's going to taste good and that I'm also going to hit my macro goals. So if you want to check out Factor, and honestly, I think you should, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code PUNK50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. System of a Down formed in 1994, originally called Victims of a Down, based on a poem by guitarist Darren Malakian, until bassist Shavo Adagian suggested they change their name to System of a Down. For one,
Victims of a Down, that will have been like a sick name as well. Victims of a Down.
because he thought that name would appeal to a wider audience, but also because that meant that alphabetically they would be filed closer to one of their favorite bands, Slayer. And they quickly got
Oh, that's actually that's a fucking cool fact. They really wanted to fucking be classified next to fucking Slayer. That's really fucking cool. What a fucking cool
to
fact.
work playing their first show in early 1995 and recording their first demo shortly after that, which is notable for being much heavier than their later material.
This is pretty much like every fucking demo ever of metal bands that actually got successful. They all sound like this. I never got like I'm into like neo metal and like some heavy metal, but like to me like the demos of even my favorite bands, it all sounds like this. It has the same fucking jackets. Like and it's like there is like no in between. It always like sounds like just like fucking like someone screaming noise.
They followed that up with their second 1995 demo, which is really where they started to come into their own. It's pretty impressive that they found their groove so early. Of the 4 songs on the demo, 3 of them ended up being on their first album, although they do sound pretty different on this demo. And they kept their foot on the gas pedal, releasing a total of 5 demo tapes and quickly building a local following. As Darren said, the 2 or 3 years that we were selling out clubs and had a huge buzz in LA, nobody wanted to sign us because we were Armenian. We were told there's a big Armenian community in LA, but who's going to get you in Germany? Who's going to get you in these places where they don't know what an Armenian is? And one of the people who noticed the success they were getting...
This is the dumbest argument I ever heard. Who's gonna sign you because like Germans and like let's say like French people and English people, they don't know what the fuck an Armenian person is. What the fuck is this argument?
Was the legendary producer Rick Rubin, known for working with artists like Beastie Boys, Run DMC, Slayer, and Red Hot Chili Peppers, among many others. But as much as he loved the band, even he had his doubts. They were my favorite band, but I didn't think anybody was going to like them apart from a small, like-minded group of people like me who were crazy. No one was waiting for an Armenian heavy metal band. And what's interesting...
Why the fuck do they focus on being Armenian? God fucking damn it.
To me is that even then, they were branded as this like Armenian band when they've never really seen themselves that way at all. As their vocalist Serge said in an early interview, we're
like this is at this point this is racism against Armenians. Like what the fuck? I gotta say like the argument against like about like sending them to Germany and them like people not knowing what an Armenian is, like this is like stupid. But like I don't know what an Armenian is. Just because like yeah, it's like it's not so special, right? It's just like everyone else, right? It's just like basically white folks that are like, who the fuck cares that they're Armenian? What the fuck?
Proud of our heritage, and it's definitely an influence that we don't want to deny as far as our music and standing and some of our thinking. It's just not specifically something that we're trying to involve in our music and say, hey, look, we're Armenian. But despite his concerns, Rick Rubin signed them to his label American, and they went into the studio after, at the last minute, replacing their original drummer with John Dolmayan. And they released their first full-length album, System of a Down, in 1998, with Sugar as the lead single. And this song is, to put it bluntly, weird. Like, the first line of the song is the kombucha mushroom people sitting around all...
It's just like they have a musicality that is just like out there, like really unique, and this is like what makes them so special. It's like try to fucking like get something that like there's like a lot of bands like this, but like they are part of like these bands that like really like there's no like no one sounding even close to them, you know?
All day long. What is that? The song also just like completely changes feel every few seconds. The video is super political. Nothing about this is accessible at all. And yet somehow it became kind of a breakthrough hit for them, getting regular airplay on rock radio and even on MTV.
Yeah, because like there's also the shocking factor.
The second single, Spiders, was more subdued and showed that they weren't just this like crazy zany metal band. And that song was also picked up by rock radio as well as appearing on the soundtrack for Scream 3. And somehow, to the surprise of pretty much everybody involved, by 2000, the album had gone gold. As John Dolmayan said, "We never expected Sugar or Spiders to be embraced by MTV or to be on the radio. We never expected anything to be on the radio. We thought we would be a very underground band, but for some reason the mainstream has kind of accepted it." Even the notoriously...
And this is also like the logic of like when it comes to being an artist, like even like content creator, usually it's people with this logic that end up like good ideas, hard work, and just like not like knowing that like you can like knowing what's possible, but not having like high expectation that end up like in these places. But like because they don't have this high expectation, but at the same time they do the hard work, and like it happens like I've been following this guy like for and like following the scene, music scene for like a long time, and like there's a lot of these examples where it's like yeah, just people were like, well, we kept working and it worked, and we got like popular over time, and there wasn't like this fucking like one hit single. It was like this one hit single after when you already had like a fucking like when you already had a small following, but also when you already had like other jams, other like good material to begin with. And so well something like just like becomes viral, right? And well, you already have like something before that is like same quality but like different in your style, right? And you just keep going, and this is how you build popularity in this type of worlds.
The uptight Pitchfork gave it an 8 out of 10 and kind of predicted the future. As they said, quote, "Imagine the scene. It's 2002. System of a Down and Slayer are again playing on the same bill, but this time the audience is chanting for the former. Sure, it's unlikely, but for how many bands would it even be conceivable?" Which brings us to their second album, Toxicity. And the question here was, could they follow up this groundbreaking album, or would they follow...
I remember discovering this fucking like album on a fucking CD jacket, like a goddamn good times.
Into the so-called sophomore slump, which is what happens when so many bands have this great debut, but then kind of run out of ideas and deliver a mediocre second album. And from the beginning, they were determined not to do that, even if that meant turning down some truly amazing opportunities. As John Dolmayan said, "It was a difficult decision, but we knew the follow-up had to be something really strong. And to do that, we had to turn down Iron Maiden, Metallica, bands we've idolized and been listening to all of our adult lives." But as tough as that decision must have been in the moment, it turned out to be the right call. After spending months in the studio, again with Rick Rubin as producer, they emerged with a complete album. And their choice for the lead single was a song called Suicide, which, after being pressured by the label, they eventually retitled to Chop Suey. And when the song came out in August of 2001, to say that it changed everything for the band would be a massive understatement.
Wake up! Grab brush and put a little makeup!
Despite sounding like absolutely nothing else on the radio, to me it's almost like a more accessible version of Dillinger Escape Plan, or as Kerrang called it, a heavier version of Bohemian Rhapsody because it changes feel so abruptly and frequently. The song somehow became a radio hit and got into regular rotation on MTV.
And it is like a masterpiece when it comes to like just like music writing in general, because like it is like so varied, so colorful, so tasteful, you know?
When the album came out, it debuted at #1 on Billboard over people like Alicia Keys, NSYNC, and Mary J. Blige. But unfortunately, the timing for their success couldn't have been worse. It was the week of September 11th, 2001. As bassist Shavo Odagian remembers, "I answered the phone and it was my mom saying put on the TV. I turn on the TV and all of a sudden the second tower falls. At the same time, my phone beeps again and I pick up. It's my manager and he says, 'Congratulations, you're #1 on Billboard.' The timing wasn't great, and the content of the album didn't help either.
Awful.
With song titles like Jet Pilot and their most popular breakthrough song with a hook that contains the phrase self-righteous suicide. A lyric which actually got them banned from Clear Channel radio stations, along with other metal artists like Megadeth, Metallica, and Ozzy, and pretty much anybody else that had any sort of song titles or lyrics that they thought might be poorly received in the wake of 9/11. A few days after 9/11, Surge also posted an essay on their website calling out what he believed to be American mistakes in Middle Eastern foreign policy, which was deeply unpopular and got a lot of blowback.
I guess Surge put a statement on his website, and now he's taking tons of crap for it. We gave him crap for it yesterday. He bravely said he'd come on the air and try to explain because he feels he's getting a bum rap.
And on top of all of that, the band was also getting harassed and racially profiled. As Chavo said, in the Midwest and in the South, there were some remarks made. They thought Armenians were Middle Eastern because nobody knew what an Armenian was. We were pigeonholed as camel jockey.
Okay, this becomes like stupid. Like I don't know where the fuck is Armenia, but like basically like they suffered from like because no one knows what the fuck an Armenian is. Well, okay, bro. Well, okay, friend. Well, that's really unfortunate for you.
These terrorists, all these crazy slurs. And for anyone who doesn't know, Armenians are not Arabs, and the official state religion of Armenia is Christianity. So they would have absolutely nothing to do with the 9/11 attackers. But obviously, back then, a lot of people didn't see it that way. But still, none of that could stop their momentum. Chop Suey may have been banned from the...
Okay, let me just check. Where the fuck is Armenia on a fucking world map? Yeah, okay. Okay. No, because I also don't know what the fuck what the fuck Armenia is. Not only I don't know what the fuck an Armenian is, I don't know what Armenia is.
From the radio, but it still got heavy MTV airplay, and the follow-up singles Toxicity and Aerials were both Billboard Top 100 songs. And with songs criticizing everything from the militarization of the police to humanity's mistreatment of the planet, although System of a Down kind of got lumped in with the nu metal thing, with Surge's kind of weird vocals and highly political lyrics, to me, they were almost more like an updated version of the Dead Kennedys. But in spite of all that success, or actually maybe because of it, cracks were already starting to form in the band. As Darren Malakian said, Chop Suey was a really great thing for System of a Down. It made us more famous, made us more money, and it elevated us as a headlining arena band. But at the same time, that's around the time where we all started getting separate buses and living our own separate lives as well. And being as busy as they were riding the wave of Toxicity's success, the band was in no place to record new material. But fortunately, they had 16 songs left over from the Toxicity sessions that didn't make it onto the album because, as Surge put it, quote, they didn't fit into the overall continuity of the album. And even with all this mainstream success, they didn't back off on their politics, with the lead single Boom being accompanied by a Michael Moore directed video, which protested the war in Iraq.
Every time you drop the bomb, you kill the god your child has born.
With that being said, the album was essentially a collection of B-sides and outtakes that was just sort of intended to hold people over until the next album. And most fans these days rank Steal This Album as their least favorite. And they followed that up with what would prove to be their last albums, the double release of Mesmerize and Hypnotize in 2004 and 2005 respectively. These were originally written as one album, but just like with Toxicity and Steal This Album, they ended up coming out as two separate releases, and basically just picked up where the first album left off. The debut single was BYOB, or Bring Your Own Bombs, which criticized the American military for, in their view, recruiting the poor to fight its wars.
So I actually checked it out. And so B from like the song is actually like comes from Bring Your Own Bottle. When it comes to like some bars, like there are like parties like at bars where like you can bring your own bottle, and it's like it's called BYOB.
And what I find interesting is that even as they were doing their most accessible, mainstream-friendly kind of music, like the chorus of BYOB, at the same time there were also more extreme metal elements than ever. For example, here. That song hit the Billboard Top 40 and won a Grammy, which I'm pretty sure is the only time a song with a blast beat in it has done either of those things. Or the black metal part in this song, which may seem surprising, but I think it's also worth noting that Darren signed Satyricon to his label around the same time. They followed that up with Hypnotize, which also went to #1 on Billboard, making it their third #1 album. It seemed like the band was doing better than ever and just couldn't be stopped. Everything they touched just turned to gold. But what nobody knew at the time is that this would almost certainly be the last album that they would ever release. In 2006, the band suddenly announced that they would be going on hiatus, which usually means like we're breaking up, we just don't want to say it, although the band clarified that in this case, that wasn't true. As Darren said at the time, "We're not breaking up. We're going to take a very long break after Ozfest and do our own things." Which they did. Darren and John did a project called Scars on Broadway.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, like, if you want more System of a Down, there's Scars on Broadway and Serge Tankian that actually like released a lot of stuff, and it's really good stuff. Like, not everything, it's not System of a Down, but like it's still System. Like, well, it's the people from System of a Down. So if you like System of a Down, you'll get something really like fun. You know?
Serge put out several solo albums, and Shavo collaborated with the RZA, among many other projects that they were involved with. And they eventually did come back in 2011 for a round of international touring and festival dates, and played their first ever show in Armenia in 2015. But what never came back was more music or more regular touring. And the question on everybody's mind was why? Why couldn't this great band, who was at one time incredibly prolific, putting out 5 demos in 2 years, why couldn't they manage to put out another album or even consistently tour? Some fans speculated that it was because of the growing political differences within the band, specifically between Serge and John. For example, back in 2020, when John spoke out in favor of Donald Trump, calling him, quote, "the most attacked president in history, yet the greatest friend to minorities." But as much as people may have thought that would be a problem for the band, that doesn't actually seem to be the case.
No, that's got nothing to do with it. And sit down and have a discussion about politics and be okay with walking away and having a difference of opinion, you know, if we happen to have one.
Other people speculated that the real issue was simply that Serge wasn't into making more music or touring again, which actually does seem to be the case based on a Facebook post he made where he laid it all out.
Like, there's also like the fact that like some artists, like, they have like good material when it comes to musicality. Like, if you never like, if you're not like an artist, like when it comes to like playing System of a Down, it's really fun to play, actually really difficult as well. And they have like their own project. So some artists, they just like release like a couple albums and then they stick to it, and they do touring because they can do as much touring as they want. It's free money. Like, they're already rich, right? And for life, like on this one, like you broke the bank, you're reasonable, and you don't have to work any 9 to 5 or dead end job ever again, right? And they just like basically like some artists, they just release their stuff, and it's fun to play, and you get to fucking play your favorite songs, and you don't want to fucking have this fucking like let's say Eminem or well, like fucking like I can only think of Eminem right now, but just like never ending like career. Like, there's just like nowhere to stop, and like you gotta remember that like System of a Down, they're musicians. Like, they're not like your fucking like rise to fame like nobody that actually never fucking took a lesson of music. They're like grandiose musicians and grandiose artists that actually fucking know what the fuck being an artist is. Especially if you see like watch the stuff like Stars from Broadway or like Serge Tankian, where it's like this is like a the master class of like classical music, like classical like meta classical music, you know.
As he said, "It is true that I, and only I, was responsible for the hiatus that System of a Down took in 2006. Everyone else wanted to continue at the same pace to tour and make records. I didn't." And his reasons for that involved several factors. Number one is that he felt that the band's music was getting redundant, and he just didn't want to make what he felt was the same album over and over and over.
Yeah, also this, yeah, because like, which people do not like, and this is like the part where like they actually cannot disrespect the fans for like, as a fan of System of a Down, like I wouldn't mind like one or two more albums of the same album. I wouldn't mind. I know that like there will be like still something new to it. But from the artist perspective, like this happened quite a lot. This happened with like Three Degrees as well, like where like the fucking singer took a fucking hiatus and they got another singer. It's still great, but it's not fucking like Adam Gontier that like fucking like rocked the show, you
Number
know?
2 was money, specifically that because Darren was the primary songwriter, that meant he was getting more money than anyone else in the band. And number 3, injuries to his back that made it physically difficult for him to do consistent touring. And with Serge as the front man of the band, he wasn't really replaceable, so without him, things just really couldn't move forward. But with all of that being said, they were able to put their differences aside in 2020 to benefit the Armenia Fund, which helped people displaced by the conflict between Artsakh and Azerbaijan.
I just wanted to write a song that was Armenian related, Armenian history related, but showed us as victors and not victims.
And what was really interesting to me is that from a musical perspective, it felt like they really hadn't lost a step at all. In fact, this might actually be...
This is true, and like actually like it's actually kind of like funny that like they like this apparently they suffered because they were Armenian. They took like it took like decades to fucking like get to even write a song about Armenia. Like their style was Armenian, they're Armenian, but like before like Armenian genocide, there wasn't like anything related to Armenia like that you can like just listen to. It was like basically like your political freedom fighter type of like band, you know?
Their most extreme material ever, even 25 years into their career, with some parts that are basically straight up black metal.
Yeah, like these are the songs that they released, and like I really just like it.
And as for the future, at this point it seems pretty unlikely that System of a Down will ever make another album, but who knows? And even with a relatively small amount of recorded output, their influence has been huge. First of all, they introduced a whole generation of kids to like weird progressive metal and got them into the pipeline that eventually leads to bands like Periphery, Meshuggah, and Gojira. And maybe most importantly of all, they made millions of people aware of the Armenian genocide, where over 1 million Armenians were killed by what would later become the country of Turkey. And of course, their fans continue to hold out hope for more music, but
and not only that, they did a lot of like basically political talking about like maybe be nice. Like I won't go into politics through that, but like just basically be nicer and respect nature. Like but like you when it's like a metal band like is dark that that fucking does it, it's really like it matters like to some at least, you know.
Even if it never comes, System of a Down will always hold a special place in metal history. Alright my friends, that does it for this video. As always, let me know what you think in the comments, and I would like to thank everyone who supports me on Patreon, especially those of you who support at the True Cult level or above. Patrons get all my videos and podcasts early, I do giveaways, there are members only channels on my Discord that I'm super active in, and there's even a way to have me review your music. So if any of that sounds cool, hit the link in the description of this video. And with that, I'm going to sign off for now, but I will see you next time.
Yeah, like the punk rock NBA, bro, like really like if you're into that stuff, really get into this stuff. Rise and Fall, like yeah, actually like really great video. Like I got to discover some things and rediscover some things about like System of a Down. Like technically like yeah. Like I've got like nothing like there's no like conclusion to it. Like there's like it's just yeah. What a great band. If you want like the conclusion, if you want actually like the new albums of System of a Down, they got released is Scars on Broadway and Search Tolkien. Just search Tolkien, and you get like more System of a Down stuff. So yeah. Anyway, so basically basically, yeah. So this is the end of the stream. Like, I'll see you later. As always, be toxic. See ya.